and we are now recording. So I want to keep this super short and sweet, guys, because obviously we want this to be something that you can kind of come back in history, take a look, and totally understand what's going on without having to go through a 2-hour video. So I'm not going to stay with you guys on here for 2 or 3 hours just hanging out like previous trainings. This is going to be short, sweet, and to the point. So my good co-partner here, Irving, did write out all these rules. So we will post them in the group. It would still be good to take notes because, as you know, when you write, you retain information. So to start off with, guys, I'm obviously not your financial advisor, just a fellow trader sharing an idea, looking at the charts kind of together. I do not claim proprietary information or whatever to own any of these indicators or strategy or anything else. Myself, Irving, Pat, IML, these are all just indicators and kind of created a strategy over it. So it's very comparable to another strategy that's taught within a major company, as you guys know, and you guys should recognize it. But either way, it's just a quick way to get a couple of pips with some pretty good confirmations. Please be polite and respect each other in the room with no disrespect to other members. If any other person is talking, just take your turns or mute if you're kind of talking about the TV or someone's dinner. So keep your background noise to a minimum. So here's the deal. As you guys can see here, kind of checking my notes to make sure I catch everything. This is the Stairmaster strategy that we use. I'm on the GBP CAD 1 hour chart. I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit, if it'll let me. Same arrows. We've got our big arrow, our little arrow, our seabird. Well, no, there's no seabird on this. This has the daily dot and then the support and resistance dots. Money tree string, I've got a 50 on this one. AA lines, and our MACD, of course. Pretty simple strategy. We're taking it from resistance, and support and resistance, back and forth in the direction of the trend. So you guys are very familiar with this setup. And one of the reasons why Pat was super on board with this and wanted this to be taught to the group is because when we show you this, what you're going to realize is that these other indicators you can put on your phone, the MT4 on your phone or your tablet, without having to use the remote Google Drive and drop in. It lines up with this system. So you guys can see what this chart looks like. Again, GBP CAD 1 hour. I'm going to go over to GBP CAD 1 hour. Again, I took off a couple of the things, the AA lines, just to make this a little clearer for you. But again, it's a similar concept. So the arrows aren't here, but you know the stair steps, and you know kind of the concept of buy sell. You know the 9 and the 18 cross, right? So it's the same thing. As you know, the money tree line works on the computer, but it does not work on the MT4 of your phone. So having said that, we've got this strategy here that kind of very comparable to what we call the bounce back. If any of you guys have heard of that, though that uses the Bollinger bands, but we don't necessarily need the Bollinger bands because we've got our support and resistance. So the settings for these indicators I will go over and we'll post them. But essentially all we're doing is we're looking at the 4 hour, and this support and resistance is programmed to go off the 4 hour. So just to show you, I will make sure you understand. So this is, every time you see the dots on this chart, it's based off of the 4 hours. So these dots you see are also on the 4 hour. So all we're looking for is at least 2 to 3 dots in the direction on the 4 hour chart, or in this case, no matter what time frame we're on, these are 4 hour dots, the support and resistance dots. We're looking for a flip of the SARs, the parabolic SARs, and these are the settings. It's at a 0.05 and a 0.2, and we can show you how to put that into your MT4 on your phone, because it's slightly different than what you would enter it on the computer. There's actually another option. So we have our, again, standard 9 moving average, 18, pretty simple. The RSI is set at 10. Well, actually, I think Irving's is set at 14. We can kind of talk about that. And of course, Pat's standard stochastic, which is 36, 9, and 18. So what we're looking for is a move like this. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. Let's see if it'll let me, maybe. Sorry, guys. So just like you would see on your regular charts, you would have the big arrow, little arrow. This SAR you can put on your phone, the parabolic SARs. And when you see the SAR, you've got one confirmation. You've got the crossover of the moving averages. Overbought, oversold RSI, overbought, oversold stochastic. And what we see here is actually 2 different entries. So now that you see how the two systems kind of go hand in hand, we created a third chart that literally take off, because this is something that you would see on your phone. So on your phone, you don't get the buy sell lines. But as you know, Pat has created an alert system. So every time the buy sell lines pop up on the 4-hour or daily, depending on how you program it, you'll get an alert on your MT4 or via your text messages. So that would be your confirmation. And the cool thing is, right from your phone, you literally have two entries, a safer or faster, your call. All we're doing is going for 10 pips each time this happens. As you know, slower movers, that would be harder. You definitely need a low spread broker. You can't do this on AAFX because AAFX has way too high of a spread. But we're looking for the cross. So the SARS flipped over. Right here, it's on the bottom, it flipped to the top. So that's 1. And then, of course, you have your overbought, oversold RSI. So every time this happens, you have a choice of 2 entries. I believe that when Irvin was testing this out, he was using the faster one. He was using it based off of overbought or oversold, and then the flip of the SAR. But after we collaborated and we talked about a slightly safer entry, bigger stop loss, but more accurate, again, depending on how you want to trade, we have the cross of the SAR, cross of the moving averages, and we also broke the 50 line on the RSI, which actually signifies a trend change in direction. So like legit, that's all we're looking for. And if we go back in pretty much any pair, when this happens to get 10 pips, that's 23. And that's not even the whole move, right? Somebody's drawing on my screen. Let's see. So if we go to here, getting 10 pips, super easy. And that's all we're doing again and again throughout history. So if we know there's definitely, you can use the remote drive that Irving kind of set you up with. You can check your computer screen if you're the kind of person who's leaving it on. So you would just check to make sure you have the 4-hour resistance dots. That would be rule confirmation number 1. Hop on your phone. I believe that Irving was liking the 1 hour. I'd say the 15-minute is good. You can use the 15-minute on this as well. And again, just because I'm on the 15-minute chart doesn't mean that these buy-sell lines are invalid. These are actually 4-hour supports and resistance. So we're on the 15-minute chart. We know for sure that we've got a buy-sell line, right? Our support and resistance has been respected. A flip of the SAR, cross of the moving averages, overbought, oversold, break of the 50, and crossover on our stochastic. Legit, like that is 100% of this strategy. And I know that Irving's got a pretty decent little baby account that he has grown by, I don't want to misquote, but I'm pretty sure that's, what is that, 700%, give or take, if I'm doing my math correctly, about 700% in a couple of weeks, just using this strategy and to prove that it works. So all you're doing is taking 10 pips on an entry of your choice. The faster one where the first SAR popped up, or the slower one, again, more accurate, which is after the cross of the moving average and after the cross of the 50. And that, well, that didn't take me long to talk about at all, huh? That's legit all we're doing. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or Irving, if there's anything you wanted to add, I mean, I talk fast, but that was pretty quick. So by all means, step up. Come on, talk to me.
Pretty much that's what it is. So what we're looking for is the crossover on the moving average and the RSI. As soon as they cross the 50 line, just go for the 10 pip. 10 pip is super, super easy to get. So you're gonna see this setup and all, they're gonna be everywhere. So best practice is, you know, flip those 10 pips and get out. Don't hold the trade longer, because you know, I've been testing this only trying to get those 10 pips. I've been very successful. So like Jenny said, now it's about 900% that I grow my account, a baby account, and I'm very satisfied. And so it's simply amazing. So hope this this video can help you guys. And I don't know if anyone has any question, probably we can answer real quick.
Let's see. So what we've done is created the two, and you still want to follow basic rules. As you guys know, any one of these, most strategies, I should say, are have the potential to be pretty successful. The kind of different factor that really makes the difference is, do you have a trading plan? Do you have good rules that you follow? That's what's going to be the major difference. So you're still looking for trades that have a good risk to reward ratio, and you're still looking for the best possible setups. But as you guys can see, if I'm trying to make this line a little bit different for you guys, every time you see this buy sell line on the 4 hour, and it's respected, so like Irving was saying, 2 to 3 dots, because that's more confirmed. The no trade is guaranteed, but to get 10 pips is so stupid easy. And as I showed you guys with my spreadsheet magic, literally you can take a $100 account to well over 7 figures in less than a half a year. Even if you're a subpar trader, if you follow some consistent rules and use good risk management. It does not take much. You can take a baby account and turn it into 6 figures and just withdraw over and over and over again based off of only going for 10 pips. Then you guys can back test this all you want. It works. It's got a pretty high accuracy ratio. And that's pretty much the whole sum of it. And Irving was kind enough to kind of write out all the rules. So he's my hero, so I don't have to write them out. But it's nothing fancy. It's nothing that's not too hard to do.
Jenny, I just got in here. This is Damon speaking. I missed it. What is the indicator right there with the dots on the main chart?
Okay, so since I was super quick and I talked like RoboCop, I'm gonna I'll start from the beginning and try to slow down a little bit, if it'll let me. So we know that we use the Stairmaster, the / triple arrows. So this is what my chart looks like for regular trading, right? We've got our buy sell lines. We've got big arrow, little arrow, money tree string, and AA lines, and that's fine. But we're looking for this kind of confirmation, right? All the way up and down. Same concept. Well, a lot of people are at work all day. Some people are truck drivers. They just don't have access to their computer. So we've got people from all over the world, and not everybody has access to or know how to even work the MT4 and the indicators on the computer. So Irving has actually been testing and really playing with this. This strategy is very similar to a couple of other strategies. It's basically the flip of a parabolic SAR, and we can show you what all those settings look like in your phone. Every one of these indicators is available in your phone except for the buy-sell lines. But again, the buy-sell lines, this super easy support and resistance, Pat is reprogramming them to have an alert now. So you'll get an alert saying you have a new dot on the 4 hour, right? So if I took all the other noise off and now all I have is the crossover of the 9 and the 18, and then of course the super easy support and resistance. So that's the only indicators that are on this chart. Everything else we can access from our phone. So the whole concept is, rule number 1, you need to have at least 2 to 3 dots of the support and resistance easy SNR. Rule number 2, you need to have a flip of the parabolic SARs. Rule number 3, a cross of the 18 and 9 and 18, right? Rule number 4, a break of the 50 on the RSI, or a cross of the stochastic. And that's
so you're not using the money tree string. You more often use the 2 moving averages.
No, I love my money tree string. So like on the computer, I wouldn't trade my money tree string for any single moving average at all, because I can make it whatever moving average I want to. But the problem is not everybody has access to that. So for my personal trading on the computer, you better believe I love my money tree string like that with the support and resistance dots. I mean, that's a gold mine. That's easy for me because the way I trade, it works for me. But what this strategy about right here is not about what the computer can tell us. It's about what we can put on our phone. And every one of these, there we go, every one of these indicators, the stochastic set at 36, 9, and 18. The RSI set at 10. Irving, are you using 10 or 14? Irving? Can you hear me?
Yeah, bear with me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, give me 1 second.
I mean, I personally would recommend 10, but you guys can play with these numbers and see if you want the faster entry or the slower entry. So the whole purpose of teaching this is that you can access this from your phone. So you can see every one of these things from your phone. Does that make sense?
Parabolic star, that's what that is?
Yes, sir.
Is that a lagging indicator, or like, I've never heard of it. This is the first time I've ever seen it before. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, I love the parabolic star. Again, when you kind of combine it, so let's go back to the chart where I added it, kind of the mixed. It's every indicator is lagging, first off. The only indicators that are not are the Ichimoku cloud, and of course, any predictive indicator. And every predictive indicator technically repaints. So if it doesn't repaint, by definition, it has to be lagging, right? Because there's no secret option C. It's either a lagging indicator or it repaints. There's no other option, or there's price action. That's it. So I guess the correct answer, the proper answer would be yes, it's lagging. But the idea is once it tells you, I don't know how to say that accurately, but it goes with price. So it moves with price. That's what it does. I mean, maybe somebody else can define it better than what I can say, but it moves as price goes down. The parabolic stars go on the top. As price go up, the parabolic stars go on the bottom. And that's it. So I take this right here, since you missed the beginning. This strategy literally has 2 entries. You're still looking for a really good risk to reward ratio. Oopsie, sorry. The first confirmation is you'll either check from your computer or your remote Google Drive, or an alert from your setup from the phone from the MT4 once Pat releases the daily dots. But so you want at least 2 to 3 dots on the 4-hour. And again, because this line is programmed to be the 4-hour support and resistance, right? Every time you see that on this chart, these are 4-hour support and resistance. They're just appearing on the 15-minute chart. So you want 2 or 3 of those dots, the flip of the SAR, cross of the moving averages, RSI to break the 50, or crossover on the stochastic. And you have 2 different choices of an entry. Your first entry would be overbought, oversold. So I don't really believe in that, because things can keep going forever, personally, at least at my experience. But this is obviously a quicker entry, higher risk, but lower, there's a lower stop loss by taking the first one where the SARs just barely flipped. And of course it had to be overbought or oversold, and overbought or oversold. Your second entry, which to me is the safer entry, is the break of the 50 on the RSI, the cross of the moving average, and the SARs. And all you're doing is taking this for 10 pips.
Right.
That's it. 10 pips on every one of these trades, over and over again. And I've showed you, I was trying to get my spreadsheet magic on my Windows computer, but my Google Drive was not cooperating to convert it to sheets properly. But either way, with 10 pips a day, it would still take you, you're gonna have days where you lost or you broke even. It does not take long to grow a few $100 account, a baby account, into 6 figures. It's not impossible. There's a lot of us who have actually used those spreadsheets to make life-changing amounts of money in stupid amounts of time. So that's all we're doing. This is only to release a strategy that shows you, hey, you can get 10 pips. And that's all you want. Don't be stupid. Don't be greedy. Just go for 10 pips. And once you've perfected 10 pips, then you can talk about trailing stops or increasing take profits, but 10 pips, that's it.
Got it.
So for instance, you would have entered here, the faster entry or the more accurate entry. But any of these other times, so when this happened too, it broke the 50, right? It had a crossover. And of course, we still have confirmation of our support and resistance dots, or whatever this one is called. You could also enter again when the SARs flipped here, because it's still in direction, right? And I could do this all day long. And this is on the 15-minute chart, but Irving and I have played with this. I actually did it a strategy similar to this with IMO called the bounce back. It uses the Bollinger Bands. Most of you guys probably know it. But we don't need the Bollinger Bands. We don't need the mess because we have enough confirmation with just this. And any one of these moves, we can get 10 pips. Got to use a low spread broker though. Any one of these moves. Over and over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Got it.
So it's silly easy. Try it on a demo. Obviously, I'm not suggesting you risk your entire account over and over again, but just try it on a demo for a couple of days and see how you do. Low spread broker, 10 pip take profit, follow those rules, and see how you do. For the people who, I know somebody was waiting on, they ordered a laptop, another girl, her computer broke. So for the people who are like, oh my gosh, I can't get to the computer, I can't trade, I can't do this, and they're like freaking out and they're trigger happy, this is a solution that, again, it works right alongside the now and later. When you put the 2 and 2 together, you'll see exactly how it's the same. There's no guarantees, obviously, in trading. Trading is a high risk activity, but your accuracy ratio is pretty darn high. So, yes, sir. Does anybody have any questions?
Johnny, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Just the setting on the parabolic saw, is that by default, or do you we put in a setting for it?
No, this is not default. This is actually a 0.05, so I'm going to click on it. Keep in mind, when you go to type this into your phone, you're going to have 3 boxes instead of 2, but the one that you're doing on your computer is a 0.05 for the step and a 0.2 for the maximum. So it's much faster than the default.
Okay, cool.
You're welcome. What I like about this strategy is it's with the trend. So if it's still going down, the stars are going to be on top and it's going to keep going down. But when it reverses, the stars are on bottom and it goes up. Again, not forever. No one's saying that this happens forever. It's just saying it's going to happen enough to give you 10 pips. That's it. Just 10 pips.
Yeah, that's it.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
What's
Jenny,
that bottom? Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did you guys discuss stop loss yet?
Stop loss. Okay, so for me, again, the only reason why I've been able to make as much money as I have is because I've got really good at following really good rules. So for me, my trade needs to be really close to 1-to-1. With a scalping strategy such as this, that's really hard to do. So having said that disclaimer, the safest place for your stop loss, if you ask me, is above the SAR. That's it. If you want a huge stop loss, you could go above the buy and sell line. Irving, what is your take on that?
Same thing, above, on the top of the previous parabolic SAR.
So like right here, your stop loss would only be 12 pips, 14 pips. That's it.
But this strategy is super easy to get those 10. You're gonna get them repeatedly, over and over and over. I'm telling you guys, the baby account that I grow, I'm very excited about the percentage that it is right now. So I was not expecting this to be a massive success, but I mean, it's working. It works for me. So,
and just to confirm, Irving, you said it was, you've grown at how much percent? Approximately 900% in how many weeks?
about going to 3 months now.
Okay, so now I'm not so great at math in public, guys, but 900% in 3 months, and this is only doing kind of part-time, depending on what you started with. That's really, 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 really good return. So
yeah, it was a $65 account, so it's pretty impressive now, but just something that I just discovered and it works. So This is basically only for mobiles. Don't think you're gonna be trading this on your PC, because I'll be getting a lot of comments. Hey, can I do this on my computer? And I keep mentioning that this is more only for your phone. So,
I mean, and technically, look, as you guys can see, you can put the same indicators on your computer. But why would we play with this when this right here works so stinking well? So
right.
I don't need to play with that on my phone or my tablet or whatever, because on my computer this works really, really well. But not everybody has access to their computer. So we wanted something that was still in line with Pat's kind of reversal or arrow strategy, and something that would kind of answer everyone's question of, okay, how do we trade from our phone? So what was there was another gentleman speaking up. Does somebody have another question?
I was trying to find out what's that bottom indicator.
That's the stochastic. If you've watched any of Pat's videos or mine, it's the same settings, 36, 9, and 18. It's very, very slow. Most people would speed that up by, I don't know, 300%. But the reason it's so slow is it's also like super, super accurate, especially when you combine it with like the triple arrow system. So when I first started with the triple arrow system, I pretty much only used the stochastic and then the 3 arrows and my money tree string line. That's it. The stochastic, though, once it really gets to this point, it's super powerful, super powerful. And with the way that I protect my trades, because anybody who's been on any of my calls, they know I'm super protective. Worst case scenario, I got knocked out with my trailing stops, even on moments like this where it crossed over. It only did a nice tiny pullback. I was super protected every time. So I love this setting. It's very, very slow though. But for me, it's slow for a reason, and I think it works really well. I know he got it from a multi-million-dollar trader or mentor, and he just kind of fell in love with it.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it. Is there any other questions in terms of this strategy? Are there any other questions?
Okay, it's unmuted.
Hi, Jenny.
Yes, sir. I can barely hear you.
Okay. This is Anil.
Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Good. I have this thing like the rules for the different strategies, like you mentioned, using the stochastic and the buy sell.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a place where I can find the real rules for one strategy? Because right now there are so many strategies going on. I'm so mixed up.
Yes, and Pat and I discussed that. He just wants to make sure the new people are able to kind of, I don't know, get a grasp on something, because it's a lot of information. So Irving was kind enough to actually write these out. Lord knows that I would not have gotten to that as quickly. So we can get those posted in the group. It is ridiculously simple. And you can write them down as I'm talking. You're looking for at least 3 dots on the super easy support and resistance, right? 3 dots. And this is programmed to be the 4-hour. Again, I'll show you again. So every one of these dots that you're seeing on my 15-minute chart, I'm going to zoom out really skinny. You're also going to see those same areas on my 4-hour chart. Really ugly, but you see how they're the same area? Because I have it programmed to be the 4-hour support and resistance. Same ones. But now I'm just looking at a shorter time frame of candle. So rule number 1 is you need at least 3 dots on the support super easy SNR.
Okay.
Okay. Rule number 2, you want your parabolic SARs, which are set at 0.05, to have flipped from the bottom to the top.
Yes.
Rule number 3, you want the crossover of the 9 and 18, just like Pat taught in his original triple arrow system.
Yes.
Rule number 4, and this is kind of personal preference, you want a break of the 50. The odds are when it breaks, it retests. That happens all the time. But you want a break of the 0 line or the 50 line.
Yes.
Or and your call, depending on how many added confirmations you want to use, You want to cross at the stochastic.
Okay.
And then all these settings will be in the post. I will kind of clean it up and I'll post it in the notification channel so it's easier to find. So that's the rules for entry, okay?
Yes.
And then when I make a trade journal, when I make a trade plan, I always have rules for management. So like your rules for management would mean your stop loss that goes above the highest parabolic SAR, and your take profit is 10 pips.
Yes.
You definitely want a low spread broker. So you can't use this on a super high leverage account. Most high leveraged accounts have really high spreads.
Now, which is a low spread broker?
I mean, somebody may have better advice than me, but in my experience, I like CoinEx and Hugo's Way. There's somebody making some background noise, so if you're not the gentleman speaking, can you please mute your line? Somebody's walking or something. So that's pretty much the foundation. You're looking for 2 to 3 dots on the support and resistance.
Right.
Parabolic SAR, crossover, break of the 50, crossover.
Like the one where you were pointing, the dots begin much later than the PSAR. PSAR comes much before the dot.
Well, first off, there's no way to know that because essentially, if this dot appeared on the 4-hour, these dots are going to paint. So we don't know that until the 4-hour candle closes because the 4 of these candles is 1 hour. So that's 1 hour, that's 1 hour, that's 1 hour. We don't know for sure. That's why that's the rule number 1 is we want to be going with the trend on the 4-hour.
Right.
And as you get better, you can decrease that to the 1 hour. But for starters, let's play it safe rather than sorry.
Right.
So your rules for entry, I just gave you the rules for entry.
Yes.
Your rules for management would be stop loss above or below the SAR. And then, of course, just 10 pips.
Right.
You should always, at least if you're asking me, always move your stop loss into profit when possible. So if you're watching the trade, I'm very protective, and for me that works. And you want a low spread broker, and you obviously don't want to be doing this before news. That's legit all you need to know. That's it.
Okay, we are just going for 10 pips, so there's not much to manage there, is there?
No, but I'm a firm believer that the people who are not making money, it's because they are not managing their trades. They don't know how.
Okay.
They don't have a trading plan in place. They don't have rules that they follow. I'm a little bit weird like that. But if you need to, write down the rules, get them laminated, and then you can have a dry erase marker, and you can literally mark off your checkbox before you take a trade. And if you get that specific, you can literally make life-changing amounts of money in very short amount of time.
But don't you, for this, we have to be like watching the thing all day long, basically, right?
I'm going to say no. This is a scalping strategy, so it does require more time, at least if you're asking me personally. Scalping strategies take a lot more time than like for the way I currently trade, which is mostly swing trades. I pick some trades and I let them run.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And the only thing is I would like one strategy which gives me like maybe once or twice I can watch the screen and decide for the trade.
Well, if that's what you're looking for, this isn't, well, we can go over that on my next week's classes.
Okay.
And if you want to step up and ask me that question, I will do that. I want to keep this call simple so when people listen to it, they know what we're talking about.
Right, that's good.
But I can show you my longer term strategy, which is, yeah, I can go over that next week. Does that sound fair?
Sure, yeah. Thanks.
Excellent. You're welcome. Thank you for stepping up. There was a Galaxy 7, I think is the name that popped up on my screen. They raised their hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay.
That's me. That's me. Hello?
Hey, me. How's it going?
Oh, yeah, this is Jamon.
Hey, Jamon.
Okay, so I understand everything that's on the top chart, but what I'm wondering is when it comes to the bottom indicators as far as confirmation, are we looking at the stochastic and the RSI to agree?
For me, my answer is no. But I'm a bit of a more experienced trader. So Irving, what's your take on that?
Well, see, I was used to, like, when I see RSI, I'm looking at it. I was thinking as overbought, oversold, because I was used to trading stocks. I don't know if it's any different in Forex. And then I thought that Stochastics was saying overbought and oversold as well. So I was thinking, are we looking at, are these trying to agree, or are we just looking for the cross below and a cross on the stochastic?
Okay, so I'm going to stay on this. So again, you've got two choices. You have a lot of people know, and they practice that whole overbought, oversold strategy, right? So this is overbought and oversold, right?
Right.
You got, this hasn't crossed over yet, but again, it's very slow intentionally. And then you have your first parabolic star up here. So this would be the fastest, highest risk entry. It's high risk. Well, it's probably about equal risk, because your stop loss is, well, this is a big time frame, so let's go to a smaller time frame. So again, let's do the same thing. We're on the 15-minute chart. Here's what happened.
So we can trade this on any time frame?
I like this for the 15-minute. Irving, what do you think?
15 minutes, my favorite.
Yeah, I like it for the 15.
Okay.
So you've got two entries. Every time this happens, you've got two choices. And you have to decide what kind of trader you are. So your first choice is this whole overbought, oversold thing, which, as we know, in any market, that doesn't technically exist, because look at GJ right now. GJ is just like falling. It's going, 6 feet under it. It just doesn't have any chance of turning around. So that thing has been overbought, oversold for 3 weeks, right?
Right.
So you have to take that with a grain of salt. But again, we're only going for 10 pips, so you can still do that successfully. The thing is, this is less accurate. See how this happened? It was overbought, oversold, and you had a flip of the SAR. But what happened? It went against you, right?
Right.
So for me, this is one entry. The SAR came up. But
so the more conservative entry is to wait for the cross of the MA lines.
That's correct. So this, to me, is a perfect entry, because even if you kind of got in a little bit before the cross of the MA line, it broke the 50. So many people learn to use the RSI with the overbought, oversold. But when I learned to use the RSI, I learned it differently. I learned to use it to draw like trend lines on it, like literally draw on mine. And that anything above the 50 or 55 was uptrending. Anything above the 50 or 40, below the 50 or 45 was downtrending. So this breaking the 50, that's good confirmation. And of course, this is still overbought, oversold, and it's got a cross. So that is, even before this crossover, that's a beautiful entry. And so is this.
On the stochastic, does it matter which type of cross? Does it matter, as far as like on your chart, it would be, does it matter if it's green over purple or purple over green, or is it just a cross period?
Well, you know that one of these is the signal line, one of them is the DS, whatever. So you can make these pink and yellow for your own sake, but my green line is my buy, my purple line is my sell. Same thing with my candles. So depending on how you color it, and we can click on the settings. I'll move it over to make sure you guys can see it. My main line is green, my signal line is orchard.
Okay.
So if your main line is the one that goes on top, your signal line is the one that is going down. Just so you have an idea. What you color them is up to you, but the crossover is what you're looking for.
Right. Okay. And the last thing is, as far as what he was saying, as far as it about being time consuming, would it be a good suggestion to, like, I guess, wait on the MA line cross and then enter, set a stop loss and set a target profit of 10 pips and walk away?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, so I started recently again playing with this strategy with the SARs a couple of, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and then Irving and I talked a little while ago. So he's been at this a couple months, but it depends on your trading skill. Like I can't answer where you're at, but for me, I can dip through my pairs on my phone in like give or take 10, 15 minutes while I'm waiting at the DMV or the dentist office, right?
Right.
So it totally depends. But I also have a kind of a different understanding of the market. So for you, Depends on where you're at in your trading journey, but you can totally do that. You can go find 2 or 3 pairs just like you do for the now and later. Sorry. See if it'll hit my crosshairs. Okay, guys, we've got some massive background noise, so if you're not the gentleman speaking, can you please mute your line? Pretty please. Okay. But yeah, you can set your take profit and your 10 pips. For the most part, it works very well. And back test it, like play with it, get to know it.
Right. I'm still demo trading right now. I figured I wanted to double my demo account before I started live trading.
What's your demo account at now?
Well, I blew up 2, so I'm about to start a 3rd one.
Okay, fair enough. Well, do you know what you did wrong to blow it? Because that's the real question.
Yes, I was actually playing with too big of lots and with the margin, and I was getting in multiple pairs at one time. So by the time I walked away and I came back to check on it 30 minutes later, I was already blown. I started with 1,000 in each demo, walked away for 30 minutes, and both of them were gone by the time I came back.
Hold on real quick. I'm going to have you manually unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yep. There we go. All right, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I had to mute everybody because I could barely hear you. But yeah, if you blew that many, like if you have a 50-to-1 leverage or 500-to-1 leverage, you can't be trading like that.
No, I was 2,000.
Okay, that's killer. That's killer. But you have to think about it this way. Ready? On a 2,000-to-1 leveraged account, you can literally put 2 standards on $100. Not that you should, but you could. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
2,000-to-1 equals 2 standards per $100. Not that you should, but you could. So,
Right. I think I'm gonna stick with a little bit lower because I want to play like I'm not trying to play the dollar slots, but I'm not trying to play the penny slots. I'm more like trying to play like the nickel or dime slots, if that makes sense.
Totally. Well, I'm not a gambler. I don't do.
I was thinking about what Pat said in reference to what Pat was saying earlier.
No, he was on fire this morning. So yeah, definitely. Maybe so if you have a $100 account, do a 0.05 as your very highest lot size, because the rule of thumb across the board is 0.01 for every $100.
0.01 for every $100.
Yep, that's
okay.
the rule of thumb. So, and again, that kind of is very variable because of the different values per currency per pip, and obviously leverage and about 100 other factors. But if you are only risking 5% per pair you trade, so get one of those FX calculators. There's about 1,000 of them on the market. Most of them are free. You'll learn a ton. Risk no more than 5% per pair.
Okay.
Or until you actually have some success and you quit blowing accounts, maybe do 2 or 3%.
Understood. Definitely understood.
Okay, cool. I hope that helps.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, how did you draw the vertical lines on your phone? Because if we're doing the strategy on the phone or iPad, how do you draw it on the phone?
Okay. So the MT4 on your phone does have an option. Or do you have an iPhone or an Android?
I have iPhone.
Okay, then you're my friend. Let's see. So if I go to my MT4, let's see. Bear with me here. And I go to my charts. On the very top, you have that, there's 3 shapes. There's a circle, a triangle, and a square. Click on that.
Are you going on settings?
No, when you're actually on your chart.
On the chart, okay. Okay, I'm on the chart. Okay.
Okay. So click on that thing on the top that's got a circle, a triangle, and a square.
Okay.
And then there's a vertical line, a horizontal line, a diagonal line. There's even an option. Hold on.
Okay, I see it. I see it.
And that'll add your vertical line, which you don't have to do that. I'm just doing that for, the sake of this call so you guys can see it.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
You are welcome. Do we have any other questions? I want to kind of keep this recording pretty short so when people rewatch it, they don't have to devote their entire life to it, and they can just kind of study it. It's super simple. It lines up with the triple arrow system. It lines up with the support and easy, super easy SNR. And if you guys can get this, I'm telling you, it's awesome.
So you're only looking at the dots on the 4 hour, you know, you trade with the dots on the 4 hours, right?
Well, yeah, but what I was trying to explain is it doesn't matter what time frame I go on, as long as I stay below the 4 hour, the dots that I see on my screen are technically going to be 4 hour support and resistance. So right now I'm on the 15-minute chart, and these lines you see are 4 hour support and resistance.
Each one.
Yep, that's correct. This is a 4 hour support and resistance. This is a 4 hour support and resistance, because that's how I have it programmed. And if I went to the 1 hour, it's the same thing. This is actually the 4 hour support and resistance. Because if I change the settings in this, and I moved it to the day, so you guys see how many of them just disappeared? Now we have this one and this one.
Oh, okay. I
So
see.
I'm using the active 4 hour support and resistance for this trade. Actually, for my other trading too. So for my triple arrow system, I'm using the same thing, the 4 hour support and resistance.
Oh. Okay.
That's it. Definitely not too shabby. Are there any other questions or comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. One more question. On the RSI, what are your inputs for the RSI?
Oh, RSI, mine are 10. Oh, so 10, 90, 80, 70, 30, 20, 10.
Okay, 30, 90,
So 10, 20, 30. And of course we have the 50, which is pretty standard.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, the only locations you are taking where the buy sell lines appear, where the dots appear, no other in between, you don't take any, even though the PSR is there, you don't take any trade there.
I'll take them in line with there. So like right here, it's still in line with this previous support and resistance. So I'll take this one.
Okay.
I'll take this one. And then if I go to an uptrending market, well, that's only got one, so that doesn't count. Let's go to this one. I would take this cross right here. I would take this cross right here. And because I would not have known this happened, again, hindsight's 20/20, but you know, we don't know that would happen. I would have taken this one too, when the stars crossed. All the way until I see this sell, then I'm still taking it because this is still valid.
My one question is, if we start, let's say we took one trade at the beginning of the dots, where the dots appeared. Why can't we just wait for the support on the resistance to appear and then stop?
You can. That's the Stairmaster strategy, and it works phenomenally well. It's amazing. But we're talking about a strategy that we can use from our phone. That you can. So these indicators aren't available on the phone.
I see. I see.
So on the phone, this is what we have.
I see. Okay.
Does that make sense?
So now here we don't have the dots. So then the strategy for we can look for the dots to start with. How do we start? Just by the stochastic?
No. There is a support. You look at the support from I think from your computer, right?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
You have to look at that first.
That's correct. So Pat is actually working on he's working on an indicator that sends out an alert.
Oh, okay. We are waiting for that. Okay.
So this kind of really perfectly lines up. So if you're not home and you can't see the triple arrow system, you can't see if the seabird came in, and you can't see, you can't see your charts. You can take that notification you just got and enter a trade on your phone based off of that support and resistance on the 4 hour or daily, depending on how you have it programmed, and then take it for a couple of pips. If you want to try and hold it, that's great. But right now with summer coming, summer is a very low volatility time. A lot of people who make a lot of money don't really feel a need to trade a lot in summer. The banks don't trade a lot in summer. So the volatility is about to change drastically, for June and July, number one. Number two, we're also in the middle of a trade war. There's a lot of uncertainty in the markets. So going for a couple of pips is a great strategy. And also for the newbies, going for a couple of pips might be that psychological piece that gets you from where you're at right now to the next level, just with building some confidence. As you just heard a gentleman on the line, he's blown several demo accounts. He knows I blew a lot of accounts when I started, and I was way too stubborn to use a demo. So something like this, and that's what Irving's goal was here, was to give you guys hope, because a lot of us in the group who, can post screenshots of 3,000 pips in a week, they can post screenshots of 1,000% growth in a week. It becomes very overwhelming, because once you post a screenshot like that, like your inbox blows up with, how did you do this? And oh my gosh, but I've blown an account, and what about this? And it blows up insanely. So the idea was just to give particularly the new people, the people who don't have really any understanding of the markets, or that you're trading an entire country's currency. Like you're trading Japan, like the entire country. Like they don't understand a lot. They don't know a lot. This works. Actually, in IML, they taught a strategy very similar to this. Just add Bollinger Bands. In another paid for course I have used, they use the SARS and the Stochastic as another individual strategy. So there's a billion opportunities here. It's just a matter of finding something that has clear rules and management that you can use to build up your confidence and your understanding of the markets, because the markets are very emotionally abusive, as Pat would say, and it's a lot. And if you're going to be in this for the long haul, you need to get some success under your belt. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Any other questions pertaining to this strategy?
Thank you.
You are welcome.
I have a question, Angela.
Hey, Angela, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks. This is my first time coming in here. I just started today.
Well, welcome to the family.
Okay, what I wanted to ask, what is, I know Pat says he does not recommend any brokerage, but which one is the, what did you say it was, low spread that you would say that you could use?
Again, I am not a financial advisor, so I cannot give you financial advice. I do recommend 3 different brokers, and I use an affiliate link for each. In my experience, one of the best low spread brokers is Coinex. They have really good spreads. I love.
How do you spell that?
CINEXX. Yeah.
PINEXX, yeah. And the other one?
Hugo's Way.
Hugo? Oh yeah, I got Hugo.
That's a good one. And they have stocks, they have cryptos, they have, they're not the lowest spread, but they're low enough. And it's a really good starting point.
Okay, all right, well, I'll stick with this one that I have then. Okay, all right, appreciate it. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Okay, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
What was the broker that you said that you use for the high, what was that? The high, not the high spread, but the
high leverage.
Yeah, high leverage.
I use AAFX.
AAFX. And
if you message me on Telegram, I'll send you an affiliate link. And if you do so, I'll mentor you one-on-one and help you come up with a trading plan. But their leverage is 2,000 to 1.
Okay.
Their spreads are they're decently high. They're not the highest, but they're definitely high. But that kind of comes out in the wash if you know anything about trading, because they have higher spreads, but they have no commissions. So just because you see 30 pip spread, that's pretty much like a 15 pip spread because you're not using any commissions. So, and the biggest reason I'm with them is because when I withdraw from them, I get my money today, not tomorrow. So even if I withdraw at 11:59, that money is back to me at 11:59, period.
Great. Okay, so I'll just message you in Instagram, right?
Facebook. Are you on my Instagram? I'm barely ever on Instagram.
Telegram.
Which one do you want me to?
I mean, I'm not that I think I went on Instagram a couple times this year. So how about Telegram?
Telegram.
Yeah.
I can message you on Telegram, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Jenny,
Yes, ma'am.
this is Deja.
Hey, Deja. I love your name.
Thank you. I messaged you earlier. I'm the one with the dashboard I sent.
Oh, this is Willie and Will. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Willie and Deja. I'm Deja.
So I thought that was Willie. Sorry, yeah, my inbox is always massively full. So if I don't respond, just message me again.
It's cool. I had a quick question. I see you have a 1 week ADR, 4 week ADR, and 12 week ADR. Is it possible for you to share that indicator?
Actually, that's already done. It's in the notification group, the super easy notification group. It's called Bar Alert.
Bar Alert.
Yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie.
Yes, yeah, I love it. I usually take off the whole show pips thing, but this tells you a whole bunch. Like you can do some damage with knowing what the market's doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, with the triple easy, because the ADR one I have, I use, but I normally use it once it exceeded the ADR for the day. It's kind of like a confirmation for me that it is getting ready to turn.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. That's awesome. And this right here, which I also dropped in the group, will tell you how many pips it is from the high and the low of the day. And
yeah, I use that one too. I have that.
That's what I use. I don't use the Info Plus because for the most part, I know how much the pip value is per pair. And if not, I use a trade manager and a calculator anyway, so I don't need to know every pair off the top of my head. This information is way more useful in terms of trading for me. So.
Great. Thanks, Jenny.
You are welcome. All right, guys, I know this isn't the same format that we usually do. Starting in a couple weeks, I'll do my live 4 or 5 trades that I do, or 3 to 5 trades more accurately, on Mondays once my travel schedule kind of clears up. I'll be going for less pips over summertime because that's what any professional trader does. But I will still be trading. So starting next Tuesday, again, we'll go back to the kind of same dynamic of just flipping through some charts. If there's not any huge Australian news like there has been every other day, we'll take some trades. And if not, we'll just answer some questions and kind of hang out and talk charts. But I do want to keep this recording short enough for people to actually be able to study it. So if there's no other questions pertinent to this strategy, we're going to go ahead and jump off. What's the next question? Anybody else?
That's it, Jenny. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rules on the chat room. So thank you again for coming aboard.
Yeah, no, thank you. You've done a phenomenal job, and thank you so much for writing out the rules, and congratulations on your success. I mean, 900%, I mean, that's an insane amount of I mean, most banks don't pay that in a lifetime. So you're definitely killing it, and you're withdrawing, and you're making a difference and helping people set up their systems. So we totally appreciate you. And I will call it a night, guys. I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. Be wary of the Australian election this weekend, guys, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, good night, everybody.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night, guys.